A weakness, I care too much. Past is real. Morning, good morning, good morning. All these things. But now, next batch I'm going to do, I'm not going to paint them because I've been requested not to. I'll leave that for a second. There we go. There was another one in there. Man. Did y'all miss me yesterday? I had a rough day yesterday. Rough. Nothing in particular bad happened. Just started my moon cycle, and I am a weepy bee when that starts. Like everything and anything that's been bothering me for the last month all rushes to the forefront those first days. And yeah, I am an emotional wreck of a roller coaster for a day or two every month. And men are so peachy keen about it. They make all the classic cliche mistakes, right? There's nothing worse you can do to your female than invalidate her feelings when she's having an emotional day. They will. It is natural. Me and Luna were talking about that yesterday too, because she was just like, well, what's your deal? I was like, man, I'm so mad. I'm just crying my eyes out because I gained 25. Can you tell? Can you tell? So much for hemorrhoid cream taking care of that. That was a bold-faced lie. I still look like I haven't cried at all today, but I was bad yesterday. Beating the shit out of myself over 25 pounds. 25 pounds. Because I do not want to get back to my worst weight. I'm still 20 pounds under my worst weight, but I do not want to be there again. The weight I'm at now is what I weighed when I gave birth to my first kid. And that just eats me up to no end. And it's funny because I'm beating myself up overweight. And what do I get? I get a text message going, I found these sit-up machine and this workout machine. Do you want them? The universe got jokes now, huh? Universe got jokes now. I was a bit of a psycho yesterday, man. I set my sundresses on fire, and I was so mad at them. Mad at myself. At least I can admit that. But it's not easy being, female, because men are just like so oblivious to it. They're like, oh, it didn't bother you before. Why does it bother you now? And it's like, it's little things, and it's so annoying because no clue. Men have no clue how strong women are on a regular damn basis. On a regular basis. And like 1 or 2 days out of the month, we are weepy lunatics and we cannot hold it all in. And our feelings just get completely invalidated. Oh, we don't have to care about what's upsetting you, because in 2 days, you're going to get your shit together and it's not going to upset you right now. So that means anything that you're experiencing right now isn't real. And you don't really feel that way. And that's called gaslighting as well. I'd like to let you guys know that. That's gaslighting. When your little kid falls and they're crying that they're in the worst pain in their lives, and you're going, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. To that little tiny person that just scraped their knee really bad for the first time or broke their first toe or whatever minor injury to your adult mind has happened to them, when you walk up to them and completely negate their feelings and say it's not that bad, that's a form of gaslighting. It's innocent. You don't mean to do it, but it's a form of gaslighting. Just like narcissism and everything else, it's all about true intent. But everybody does everything to a certain extent. I would say Rob's a trooper with it, though. Most men also make the other classic mistake. Now, I'm crying my eyes out about 25 pounds. And now, granted, he doesn't care. And he does all the classic cliche men thing. What? Oh, if I wanted someone skinny, I would have got someone super skinny. If I wanted this, I wanted that. If I wanted a little kid, I got me a little kid. Well, you know what I mean by that. Not a genuine little kid. But if I wanted someone younger, I'd have got someone younger. All that jazz. That doesn't help. But I'm not really mad at you. No, I'm mad at myself for gaining 25 pounds. Most men will turn around at that point and go and get their woman like a candy bar or something like that. And it's like, wow. So that underrides their emotional state because of what they're upset about, like in my case, which is weight. Bringing home a candy bar is the absolute worst thing you can do because that not only negates what I'm upset about, that tempts me to derail a diet, that tempts me to do all these things that are against exactly what I'm crying about. You have to take these things into consideration, y'all. You know, you want to be in a relationship, you have to try to understand your partner. And I'm sorry, guys. Women are far more complex. It's got nothing to do with anything other than the fact that our hormones do not stay at a stable rate. You know, men, y'all's hormones stay at a stable rate. They go crazy when you're in puberty, and they go crazy at the end of your lives when your testosterone tanks, right? Those are the only times in your life that you have to deal with your hormones changing. Women literally go through all the hormones of a pregnancy every month, right? Every month you go through a 1 week fucking pregnancy where you get fat, you get bloated, you can't stop eating, you get weird cravings. Then at the end of it, what? You're in literal, at least for me, I've got all kinds of issues. So literally feels like you're in freaking labor for the first 2 days. You know what I'm saying? So it's unfair to hold women to a standard of emotional stability that men should be able to maintain. Like, what's y'all's excuse? What's the man's excuse? But you're emotional today. Okay, when you're emotional, that means that you have something that generally there's something that can be worked through. When women are emotional, yeah, there's things that we need to be worked through, but the reason we're emotional is triggered by hormones. But once again, just because our emotions are triggered by hormones does not mean that what we are being emotional about is not something that needs to be addressed. And that becomes a major problem in 99% of relationships. What? I'm not saying completely cow to your woman when she's on her period. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is listen. Because whatever she's crying about is usually something that has been bothering them for a long time, that they have bottled, shielded, held in, tried to hide from you. So when they are in an emotional state, it's kind of like being an emotional drunk at that point. What? Bitter honesty is coming out. And now if you take your ego, especially a male ego, and go, oh, she's just over emotional because she's on her period and blah, 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 blah. And you don't take into account anything they said, it's just going to become a problem again. It's like Mercury retrogrades. What? If you don't address that problem, it will become a problem again. And if a problem becomes a problem too many times, eventually somebody's going to pick up on it that this has now become a toxic cycle. And then once the toxic cycle is recognized, our next step is to break it. And if you have not been working on your relationship and you have not been listening to your partner about what she is upset about, even if she's in a heightened emotional state, you will lose your partner. Oh man, I wish I could remember his name. There's this cowboy I follow on Instagram and stuff. He's a stand-up comedian. And I love his stuff, right? And it's funny because people get on me all the time because they think, I'm always called a libtard and stuff like that. But actually, a lot of my friends are very big Republicans and do a lot in, like, those areas politically. And he's a big Republican. That's why I brought that up. But he did this whole thing where he was talking about, the difference between men and women is important. And he was talking about this police officer that was doing some sort of missionary work over in Africa. And this woman was at one of their clinics and she was crying because she couldn't produce breast milk. And he goes, and this female officer just happened to be breastfeeding at the time. She'd given a baby and she's breastfeeding. I think Angelina Jolie did this too, but first an officer did it. Then Angelina Jolie copied for publicity. Anyway, the woman was crying that she couldn't produce enough milk. The officer takes the baby and starts nursing it right alongside hers. And this guy's sitting there talking. He goes, that is the beauty of it. But he's like, no matter how much I would want to, I could never offer that because I'm not a female. He goes, but at the same time, he could offer things that she can't. He's like, we need to honor our differences. The whole objective is you're supposed to be finding out each other's strengths and weaknesses so that you can work together to balance all that out. Makes sense. Interesting little tirade for y'all this morning. Let's see what we got going on. I got some new cameras and stuff today. I've been thinking about some other tarot ideas for the other channel and some things I could be doing over there during the week. It's been busy. It's been crazy, y'all. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Setting up guitar lessons for my daughter and everything right now. So we shall see. That's going to be a very noisy endeavor over here. All right. Get the Queen of Pentacles. Very nurturing, grounding energy, right? 10 of Pentacles, abundant energy. I do see someone with a bit of an ego problem, needing to drop the mask a little bit. I'm telling you, being open and emotional and vulnerable yourself to a female who is open and emotional and vulnerable at the time is a good idea. Don't be afraid to have those hard conversations while that is the energy about what. Because once it's all said and done and masks are removed and things are worked through, there's lots of celebration and you can move on. Right? 3 of Cups. Getting ready for the party. Moving on from those things that hurt you or that bother you. If you actually genuinely work through the problems, it's a different thing. But now, at the same turn, there is a lot of ladies like that if you were crying about your weight in the morning and your boyfriend sent you pictures of weight machines asking if you wanted them later in the day, you'll lose your shit. Do not complain about something and then get mad at somebody for trying to offer you solutions. That's not fair. I know there's one woman out there who needed to hear that. That's not fair. It's not fair. All right? I'm not saying, beat yourself up if you've already been upset about it, but don't be afraid to apologize when you know that you've made a mistake. I say that with kids all the time, too. Never be afraid to apologize to your kids. You're trying to teach them how to be people, too. You want them to be able to apologize when they're wrong. You got to be able to apologize when you're wrong. Works with partners, works with friends, works with all relationships. Apologize when you're wrong. You're allowed to be wrong. But when you recognize that you're wrong, apologize. It's not a big deal. Prince of Swords, right? Don't be opinionated. Don't be hasty. Don't stick to bullshit just because you said it, right? Don't be afraid to change your mind, right? Keep your focus on the energies that you're trying to move towards, but don't be afraid to work through those other things, right? Keep working on recognizing your own shadow aspects. Keep balancing out the good pros and the cons, right? Your shadow is not a bad thing. Your shadow also protects you, just like your ego does. You can't erase pieces of your personality that make you you. You are always going to need your ego, and you are always going to need your shadow. Those are not things to be defeated and destroyed. You can't destroy your shadow. It's always going to come out. You can't destroy your ego. It's always going to come out. Will you have a series of dark nights of the soul where you work with your shadow so that it's not so big of a shadow? Yes. Will you work through ego deaths? Yes, but that's more of a death of a persona than it is your actual ego. If you don't have an ego, you will not survive unless you want to trade in all your clothes and become a monk and live on a mountaintop and shave your head. Then you can have a full-on ego death. Besides that, it's just futile to keep fighting. It is futile. Keep battling over certain things, y'all. Plant some seeds in some healthy directions. It's time to just recognize your own shadows. Don't be so opinionated and hasty. 40s, get your shit together. All right, 5D, balance it. Balance it, balance it, balance it. Keep moving in the directions that lead you to your most abundant life, right? This is all a rite of passage. You are not the only one going through this. We are all going through this. Be mindful of what you're running from and what you're running towards. Don't be too, Knight of Swords again, opinionated and hasty. I know those are just the main two words I associate with the card, opinionated and hasty, right? This is also the Captain Save-A-Ho card, right? You cannot save your girlfriends from these emotional breakdowns. They have to happen. I can tell you now, I suffered from severe, severe neck pain in the week leading up to this whole emotional breakdown. After crying all day yesterday, my neck finally feels fine. Emotional buildup is not going to be good from anybody. You cannot run from it, and you cannot run and save people from it. You need to be allowed to have those emotional breakdowns. If you have someone who's always happy all the time, and when they're not happy, they're extremely angry, that means they need a cry fest. They need to be sat down in front of the TV. They need to watch The Notebook. They need to watch A Dog's Purpose. They need to watch something that is going to make them bawl their eyes out and release that tension. Especially fire signs that are angry all the time. Fire signs that are angry all the time, that's a default setting to uncomfortable emotions, right? Cry fests help, believe it or not, right? 3 of Pentacles. It is a skill. It is a skill. Being able to cry is definitely a skill people do need to work on. Message from the 5D. 5D, let it out. Stop trying to bottle all that in. It's okay. It's okay to rant and rail and cry and get it out, right? Even for me, right? I did all that yesterday, today, even yesterday while I was in the middle of going through it all, right? I was able to better stick to my exercise routine, my diet, and everything else once I had that boom breakthrough. All right. Get a lot of past energy here from past lives, alone in the world. And that's been a topic that I've seen. You even got the Hermit here, right? That I've seen playing a lot lately. And it's this extreme independence card. And I know I've fallen for it too. It's like being abandoned and let down and left alone so much to deal with it on your own and find your own inner happiness becomes such a default setting that you'll find yourself very lonely because you won't let anybody help you anymore because you've been let down so much and you've had to do it on your own so much. Don't allow that to stop you from building things with people. You have a star card here as an overall energy, right? Look to the future with hope and optimism. The power of faith to move mountains. Happy changes that bring relief in challenging times. I love it. And of course, the star. It's a fairy in the fairy deck. Right? It's a time of hope and renewal, and it's a time to definitely start changing those perspectives. Yeah, cry fests are draining. They are draining. But it's a good thing. That's a good thing. I've always been a big proponent of if you're going to have a big cry fest, I generally like to try to like schedule it. I sound like such a psycho when I say things like that. Scheduling a cry fest. As a triple fire sign, I have a super hard time crying in front of other people, right? So if I cry in front of you, understand you are in an emotional world that not a lot of people get to see. It's not easy to deal with, but if you do get to see it, that means you're someone very important to me, right? Even when my son went in for his appendix surgery, when we were going through all that the other year, I wouldn't cry inside the hospital. I went through the whole kit and caboodle and everything, stayed up with them all night. Next morning, when he went into surgery, I managed to make it all the way outside, around to the back of the hospital and behind a tree before I finally broke down and started crying. But I'm a big proponent of taking it to the shower. I like being able to just, in the shower, you're alone, and you can just totally like down on your knees, let it just ugly snot bubbling out, cry fest. And then when you get done, you can wash your face and go to bed. Because yes, crying is extremely draining, but it's an important thing. It's especially for women. If your woman's not crying at all, ever, she's faking it. And you're in big trouble. No one's happy 100% of the time, all the time. I don't care how perfect your life is. I mean, that's one of the things, like how I've been dealing with, like, I don't watch the news right now. I've been totally immersed in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. You know, it don't matter how much money you have and how wonderful your life is. Everybody's crazy. Yeah. So you're an Aries too. Maybe it's an Aries thing. Maybe it's that whole battle warrior thing we got going on. But it is. It's very hard to cry in front of people, and we are big shower criers. You know, I have a Pisces in Venus, so my heart gets very fish will just be pulling in opposite directions. It'd be crazy. And I can get very emotional when they get stirred up. You know, but it's important. You're supposed to be working through this. You know, I don't like the toxic positivity. You know, yes, don't focus on the pain. Yes, don't focus on the bad shit. But also don't gaslight yourself to bad shit never happens. And you can't feel any other emotion besides happy. If you're trying to program yourself to not feel anything besides happy, you're delusional. You're never going to pull it off. And you are going to have way bigger breakdowns than just a chick having her emotional period day. I can guarantee you that. And that's more dangerous for men than it is for women. We really have a default setting that we can't avoid it. Men, y'all will bottle it up till you fucking killing yourselves. Y'all got to be careful with that stuff. You got to work through it. This life and everything you're learning with the neurons and reprogramming your thought processes and all that is not to avoid and never work through uncomfortable emotions. All right. The objective of this life is to learn how to work through these emotions. You know, you talk about you don't want to be incarnated or anything else. The earth is a school, and it's here to teach you humbling mortality is what you've come here to learn. You've come here to learn love and compassion and sadness and all of the scope in between. You did not come here to learn one thing. That's not just love. It's all of it. It's all emotion. You came here to learn how to feel and how to navigate emotions. And you cannot navigate emotions if you never even stick your toe in the water. And don't be afraid of scars. Like I said at the beginning, scars remind us that the past was real. As an Aries, I am scarred up to hell and back everywhere. And for those hard people in the past, that's what I liked about this card that came out. Would you still be you if we weren't we? It's all a co-creation as well. Everybody came to fulfill their soul contracts. We all came to inspire and drive each other. Yes, never forget that life is never perfect. And it is important to release. Even if you're a super positive person, that is a beautiful point. And, you know, I've been dealing with that with Luna. She's been dealing with a very hard death of a very good friend. And, yeah, it's hard to watch a bubbly Libra go through it, you know, but it's important. And she's channeling it in very healthy ways. She's doing painting. She's painted her friend. I think she's doing some more today. She's reaching out to people. She's reaching out to that girl's friends. I think she's sending one of the paintings she's done to them. She calls me when she needs me. You know, these are heavy energies I've been helping her channel too, you know. And it's crazy because I don't think a lot of people would realize. A lot of people don't like Luna, believe it or not. They don't like her. Because she does kind of come off as a pseudo-narcissist sometimes. But she actually is the kind of person that girl passed, her good friend. Her sister found her body on a bathroom floor, and Luna went and was sitting with her sister because the sister can't be alone. And she went to go use the restroom and realized that no one had cleaned the bathroom floor where that girl had passed. So Luna, being a professional housekeeper, went to her car, got all her professional stuff, and cleaned that girl's bathroom floor for her sister so that her sister didn't have to walk through the sticky residue of what happens when we pass that was left on the floor. The human psyche can go through far more than people realize. And it is important to process that information, because if you don't, those are the super dangerous shadows that will jump out at you later. Those are the dangerous shadows that cause PTSD and things of that nature if you do not process them. All right? So don't be afraid to process the hard emotions. Don't be afraid to cry. Don't avoid the world and emotion because you don't want your eyelids to be puffy. You know, don't be afraid of any of that stuff, y'all. It's natural. It's natural. All right? I'm trying to beat yourselves up too much today, y'all. I have got a lot to go do, and my alarm's about to go off. I'm going to go wake these kids up, get some breakfast. I love y'all. There it is. Blessed be all those who walk these weird and windy paths with me. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Thank you, Miss Cat. We can use all the strength we can channel right now for these hard times for a lot of people. All right. I love y'all, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow.